Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and or others. Mad Hatter here, and I am back with Dominions. The wheels. When we last left off, we finished the actual setup behind the game, and now, at long last, with an entire fucking day of waiting, we shall be finally taking the first turn. Exit this, and let's take a look at our surroundings. Oh, good God. We've generated with a rather large lake. Ooh, that's cool. I think this will be the throne, if I had to take a guess. Well, let's see. You can always tell how far other gods are, because they'll be 5 provinces away. So... you could... well, no. This isn't 5 provinces away. It's like 1, 2... okay. Okay, so it's more likely to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, no. Maybe here, if I had to guess. Probably there. So, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There may be, but this is a really small map, so it may not be. I'll zoom out a little bit. If my mouse wheel will cooperate. Be lovely, thank you. Okay, so what are our, okay, map filters. It doesn't carry this over, unfortunately, names. I like having all of the names on. All of the things, rather. So, map filters, alters, statistics. Let's look at this. Nation. This is actually a really good thing to learn. By the way, if you were ever in doubt, just hit question mark most of the time. But I think the fact that it lists all of the available shortcuts with the thing leaves it not willing to do that right now. Thrones of Ascension, let's see. There's the Throne of Air. What does the Throne of Air do? Produces 1 air gem a turn. The throne must be claimed to gain the following effects. Spreads Dominion 2. Blessed troops get air shield. That's not bad, actually. Produces 2 air gems per turn. Enables recruitment of Wind Master. Boosts air ritual range by 1 province. That's actually pretty good. If we required it so that you needed 3 points, then this would probably be one of the first things I'd go after. The Throne of Beasts. It's only a level 1 Dominion, but it spreads Dominion by 1. Blessed troops get Animal Awe. And produce 2 nature gems per turn, actually. The lower throne. The throne must be claimed to gain the following effects. Spreads Dominion and produces 5 blood slaves per turn. I'd love to get that if I were playing Abyssia or Lanka. Even if the game didn't end at 2 Thrones of Ascension. The reason I do that is because if you don't... like, if you set it so you have to get every Throne of Ascension, it then becomes a sort of race to try and just... It drags out games a lot longer. And even if I lose this, I won't mind, as I'll be able to show things off a little bit. There's also a nation overview. This is a really quick way of manipulating troops and just looking at what we have. Magmoor is 2 nation gems per turn and 1 earth gem per turn. Tir Nanog enables recruitment of Tuatha warrior, enables recruitment of Ree, enables recruitment of Tuatha sorceresses, and produces 3 air gems per turn. That's not bad. Pretenders of the World. Let's see. There's us as the Crow. Ooh. There's us as the Crow of Winter. And there's Penetheste. Dusk and Death. From Hell. Oh, that sucks. Helheim is the best faction in the early game. All of their units are incredibly expensive, but just if they can get to mid-game, they've won. There's... all of their factions are stealthed, all of their factions are blurred, all of their factions, all of their units, except for 1, has glamour, which automatically gives almost all of their units stealth of 50, which is really good. That means you need a really high patrol to find them. And... which is even worse than Pan. Pan, most of their troops, not even all of their troops, it's just most of their troops, like their actual, like, satyr troops have stealthy. But all of them are blurred. Basically, that automatically casts mirror image on them, which sucks, because it makes them a lot harder to hit, and it's not dispelled unless you hit them. So they're really good in melee. They suffer against archers, they suffer against mages a little bit, and they suffer against trample heroes and units and whatnot. Helheim is a land of shadows, windswept moors, and silent mountains. Here lies Nipalin, Nippeland, whatever. The stone cave where the dead pass through on their way to hell. The hanged kings, ancient Vanir, who have once hanged themselves, should be hung themselves to learn the secrets of death, rule the land from the thrones in Helhalla. Obviously an alternate of Valhalla. There is an actual Valhalla, and I think you don't get it unless you play Vanir. Helheim is inhabited by Vanir, a race of tall and innately magical beings who are able to trick mortals with their glamour. Yeah. The Vanir of Helheim have sequestered themselves from the Vanir of Vanheim and have not been part of the Great War. With the giants, for ages they have been guiding the dead on their way to hell, in service of a dead god. Now a new god is arising, and the old ways are changing. The Valkyries, guides of the dead, have become messengers of death and sacred warriors of the new god. Valkyries, the female Vanir of Helheim, are able to fly, a gift from the dead god they once served. Lesser beings are not held in high regards, and their blood is sacrificed to sate the awakening god. I think that means that their priests can use their priestly magic in order to blood hunt. So if they're a priest of 3, it acts as though they have a blood mage of 3 level when they do blood hunts. It also allows them to blood hunt in the first place. Sacrifice to sate the awakening god. Unlike their cousins in Vanheim, the Vanir of Helheim are not shipwrights and sailors. Yet Vanheim is basically your Norse faction. They can just make ships and sail over the seas, but unfortunately they'll have to run into the actual sea forces, which kinda suck. I'll be honest, like, the sea factions have really piss poor forces, but they have really good mages and priests. So the race, flying troops, illusions prefer cold scale of +1. So the Dominion is likely going to have cold scale of +3, if they're smart. The military are the Vanir heavy infantry, Valkyries, and Vanir cavalry. Magic death, first and foremost. They are very heavy death mages, and that actually gives us a reason to go with priests. Someone also pointed out that death magic that necromancy is actually better if you go magic drain of 3. What that means is that, yes, you research slower, but you can offset that with the Sage Pretender and Owl Feathers to buff up your research. Whereas, and then you just basically get magic resistant death units that, yes, priests can banish the fuck out of, but it's less likely to occur. Air magic, so their evocation is actually going to be pretty strong. Earth magic, so they can do constructs. Blood, yeah, it kind of sucks. And some fire, it's not bad. Average can perform blood sacrifices, which means they can use their priest level for blood hunting. Helheim worships the Pretender. Panethiste, Queen of Majesty, so I think that means they have high dominion. Princess of Many Names, I think that means they have either high astral or high death, I'm not sure. Princess of Forgiving and Patron of Herbalists, so she has some nature in there at least. And yeah, this is still turn 1, by the way. Hall of Fame, Pretenders of the World. Okay, and I can't actually take a closer look at them. I do actually need to find out where they are before I can start having a look. I actually really want to get over to this fortress. Back more. Jatan, the Firbolg champion. The Firbolg descendants. And yes, each one of these units has this little blurb here. Each one of your commanders has these slots. These slots can be used to give them magic items. This one is the right hand, this one is the left hand. It's kind of weird, but it's because I think it's because the I don't know if it corresponds to anything. So if we get a magical item, I may give it to him. For Bulgar descendants of the once proud of the Numidians, a proud race that once warred with the Fomorian giants. Medians were beaten, and the Firbolg descendants accepted the Fomorian rule, but the Firbolg spread and multiplied and conquered lands of their own. Soon they formed a kingdom apart from the Fomorian lands, but then came the Tuatha. The Tuatha were also descendants of the Numidians, but their powers were greater by far. With enchanted spears and spell songs, they quickly conquered the land of the Firbolg and settled on the island of Tir Nog, the land of the ever-young. Firbolg now compose much of the population and serve as farmers and lonely warriors of the kingdom. They are somewhat larger than humans and have long lifespans, but they have lost or forgotten much of their Numidian legacy. Firbolg use armaments made of bronze and leather. Bronze scale Cuirass. Let's look at it. Has a defense of -1, that means they're a little bit easier to hit when they have the bronze on, but they have a protection of 9 in the body. That means even if they are easier to hit, they block much easier, but they don't have a protection of the head, so it's brought down by 2, I believe. They have a shield, which gives them a protection of 16. Parrying chance of 4, defense of -1, so they're also easier to hit because of their shield. But they have a ridiculous defense skill. Oh, it's because of the shield parry. So 10 is the base normally, but this guy has 13 as his base. So physically, he's just better than a human, which is actually pretty good representation. Like, these stats actually provide pretty good representations of how good they are, basically. Weapon defense modifier is a +2. That means that because of his spear, he has extra defense. Armor and shield defense modifiers of -2, but the shield's parry gives him a bonus to make up for that -1 he's getting from the shield. Now let's take a look at the bronze sword. Bronze sword has a slash damage and a pierce damage of 4. It's not much damage, but it's a bronze sword. There's not really much you can do about that. It has an attack value of +0. That means that just wielding the bronze sword does not make it easier to hit people with it. Has a defense of 2, and that's the thing about swords. They often give you better defense skill. Spears give it in a different way. And has a length of 1. That means it's very easy to deflect his sword. However, he has javelins. Javelins are a little bit difficult to hit with. That being said, it's actually pretty good at hitting people with javelins. Like, this guy is actually not bad. He's pretty good as an archer. So he's really not bad, actually. So we're going to make him the prophet. And then this is the scout. Oh, I was looking at the scout, not the actual... Not this guy, although they have the same gear and pretty similar stat lineups. Strange. This guy's actually a bit better, just as an individual person. So I want to go this way, because I want to start looking at this. And then I would like to have a look at this. Army setup. What have these guys got? Firbolg warriors from Tir Nog. These guys are also pretty good. Just look at their stats. The defense skill, they're hard to hit, in melee anyway. They have kind of okay protection. It's not the best, but in the early age, protection is kind of hard to come by. Defense is a lot easier to have in the early age. In the middle age, it's a bit more spread out, whereas in the late age, you're going to have more protection than you do defense skill. They have some magic resistance and decent morale, actually. They can hit fairly hard, they can hit fairly often, and they have decent amounts of hit points. That's not bad. What are they wielding? They have stone spears, which have a length of... Let me go ahead and explain it. Length. It's good to have a longer weapon than your opponent. The unit with the longer weapon will be able to repel the enemy when he tries to attack. The attack skill is used against the enemy's defense skill to determine whether the repel is successful or not. A successful repel will not cause any damage, but the enemy loses his attack. Basically, whenever someone attacks one of these guys, he'll use his stones. He'll also make an attack, and if the enemy cannot defend against it, then the attack is nullified. In that way, having pikes makes units very defensive, even if they have low defense skill. And this guy's defense skill is actually better than his attack skill. So I think the way it goes is, let's see, length. You know, the longer weapon is able to repel the enemy when he attacks. Attack skill is used. When he tries to attack. So is a parry attempted before or after the defense skill? Just go in case. X will generally miss a target. So I think it's basically if the defense skill fails, he can still do the spear thing. So these guys are actually pretty defensive. And in addition, they have slingers, which is not bad actually. Slings can fuck people up. I'm just going to put it that way. I'm gonna set these guys to fire and keep distance. The squad fires missile weapons until their target comes close, then they withdraw to a safe distance and continue to fire from there. So the squad uses missile weapons until all missiles are used up. If the enemies are close to the squad, or if a friendly troops are close to the target, the squad will advance or attack. That's kind of what I want. And I would like these guys to go after enemy archers first and foremost. Actually saying that, I would like them to go one random flying enemy and his squad is targeted, so I would actually like them to go for the rearmost, but unfortunately I can't really do that. So I'm just gonna go with closest enemy. The reason I don't go with archers is because they're slingers, they're not archers. They, unfortunately, let's just have these guys attack closest enemy. These guys are slingers, not archers. And this guy is going to stay behind troops for now. That means that they have a shorter range than traditional archers. So I have these guys in the front, and I would prefer if they had a line formation, and they actually have the morale to make up for the morale hit they get. If you put them in a formation, they get a minus to their morale. I'm going to keep the slingers behind them, like right behind them, and I'm going to keep this man behind them as well. And I'm going to have this guy set to retreat. The reason I do that is because there's actually a tactic to use with the scouts where you send them in to fight a group or a force, and so long as that force doesn't have cavalry, the scout will be able to actually look at the forces that they have, and then we will get an accurate look at the troops. Tuatha warrior and city warrior, for bulk warrior, for bulk warrior, for bulk slinger. So these guys have hammers. Or no, they have an axe. Axes do more damage than swords, but they don't give you the damage bonus. Plus, they have the length minus, so they're not defensively good like spears. And I think maces also do damage, but like they do more damage, but they do bludgeoning damage, which is best against. I think that's best against things with high protection. I don't know. You'd probably be able to ask someone else better. City warriors they have a glamour, which is actually not bad. I'll just actually show you what the glamour does after a sip of my lovely coffee. It's hazelnut as well today. I'm recording this episode right after I finished recording episode 0. Units with this ability are able to cast illusions to alter their appearance. This does not mean they cast the spell. This just means that they are illusionists. They don't have to cast it, they just do it. In battle, they mirror their own image, which is a spell, and I think I've actually already explained how it works. Basically, if you've ever played D&D, it's mirror image from D&D. You have a bunch of your own images in the same spot, so you look blurry, and it's difficult to tell which one to attack. Basically, that gives them a really high defense skill bonus. So we both have glamours, but all of Vanheim's troops or not Vanheim, but Helheim. Well, they have one troop that doesn't have glamour, to be fair. These units cannot be detected by enemies while moving in their own lands and are very difficult to spot when hiding in enemy territories. So they're stealthy. Stealth of 65, actually. They have glamour. They have forest survival, which means their movement is not impeded when in a forest. They're also less likely to run. This creature can move through forest provinces without any penalty, and is less likely to starve when the army runs out of supplies in these provinces. They're also better armored, not exactly better equipped, but they're fine. Then we have the Tuatha warrior, which are our only sacred unit. It costs 35 gold, 22 resources. Golden spear. Excuse me, why? I could understand it if it was a mace. But gold, but a spear, really? That's... you saddened me. Anyway. So, bronze scale cuirass, bronze cap, golden shield. Holy shit. They actually have... Well, I think how it works is you add the shield protection if his parry is successful, but your defense skill fails. The Tuatha are the rulers of the Tir Nanog, the lands of the Everyoung. They are descendants of the Numidians, who warred with the Fomorians in ancient times. The Tuathas arrived in the lands of the Firbolg, conquered them, and turned to the lands of the Fomorian giants. They failed, and when they turned to their blessed island, they turned their energy towards crafts, poetry, and magic. The Tuatha are sacred to the Firbolg and the city inhabitants of the realm. In times of war, they emerge from their blessed isle with their glamour and the magical armaments that let them conquer the numerically superior Firbolg. Hit points of 14, protection of 10, so the average for a normal human, normally. Well, I say that, but 10 is not... protection does not have an average, per se. I think it'd actually be easier to say the average protection in this era is 8 or 6. Just going by all of the troops that I've found. There's also got a magic resistance of 14, morale of 14. They're hard to root. They are difficult to use spells against. Resources 22, so they're expensive. Strength of 13, so they hit decently hard. They hit fairly often, and they have they're really hard to hit. And that's before glamour. They can also throw decently well, and they have javelin, so that's nice. These actually aren't bad sacred units. However, that was just the normal units. We now need to look at the people that we're mostly going to be recruiting. Firbolg Druids are Air Mage of 1 and either Water, Earth, or Nature for 100% chance to get that. They also have additional research. They're pretty decent as spammy research fodder, basically. City Lords. These guys are expensive, by the way, but they have a priest level of 2, they have nature magic, air magic, and they can't gain additional... They also have a supply done. Like, these guys are actually really good. City Champions. These guys are magical, too. That's not fair. That is not fair. I feel bad for the Firbolg. They're really, like, compared to these guys, they're kind of bad. Bayon Sids. Air, water, earth, or nature at a 100%. They have air and water. They already have. Basically just a pick of which one they get with the occasional earth mixed in there. These guys are actually really good. They cost 200 gold. Babawan City. Baoban, rather. Sorry. Are the Cid descendants of the Morgans. She is a seductress and blood drinker who haunts the wilderness. She takes the appearance of a stunning and beautiful maiden and lures humans to her deadly embrace. Baoban's Cids are skilled in the use of illusions and air magic, and she is an assassin, by the way. So yeah. If it is positive, there will be an increased chance of... If it is positive, there will be an increased chance of bodyguards not being present when the assassination occurs. Yet she is a magical assassin. I'm just... that seems rude to me. That's just mean. Just life drain as well. It's actually really good. She's actually pretty good. I'm not gonna spam her yet. These guys are also pretty decent. Stealthy. And the Tuatha Sorceress is a ridiculous caster. That can get even better. Like, just to point this out, she has the potential. She has the potential of being a 5 air magic caster, with a 100% chance of possibly being a 4 air magic caster. Well, that's just rude. Granted, she costs 385 gold. So, I think that's a bit more fair, thinking about it. Bean City. Zids. These guys are decent. Can these guys even research? They can a little bit. And I'm looking. The reason I'm looking through their casters is to look for someone I can use to spam. For research, in addition to other things for bulk druids. I think I'm going to go with Firbolg Druid because they're cheap. Recruitment. You can only recruit one commander at any given time. Per palace, rather. And Firbolg Militia. These guys have 9 morale. They're not exactly hard to rout. They have 4 protection. They have a stone spear, so it's not that bad. But they're not very good. And they actually cost more than a slinger. So let's see. City Warriors and Tuatha Warrior. I don't actually have much in the way of resources, but I can get about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can get about 7 of those. How many Tuatha Warriors can I get? 3. I can get 3 of those and 12. So I could get 3 of those, 1 of those, and then 1 of these with a resource left over. So that's not bad, and we still have some gold left over. I think I'm going to go with that, for now at least. And yeah. So there's the recruitment. Let's take a look at the mercenaries. Urgek Beast Brother. Urgek Beast Brother. There we go. Urgek commands 20 men and demands 30 pounds of gold for employment. I'll hire him. Or 30 pounds of gold, rather. Okay. Okay. And we'll see if we get him next turn. However, I don't actually know how long I've spent on this turn. Let's check. About 26 minutes. Yeah, I guess I'll end the turn. Proclamation from Tir na Nog. Proclamation from Helheim. Urgek Beast Brother has been bought and will fight for our cause this and 2 more months. And like I said, turns are measured in months. So let's forge a magical item, and I'll show you a little bit. Hunter's Knife. I click for info. Costs 5 magic gems, and the crafter has to be nature magic level 1. It does 3 piercing and magic damage. It is armor piercing. That means it negates protection. Has an attack skill of 2, and it's generally just kind of bad. Thorn Spear requires 15 nature gems, but it has a strong poison and decent damage. This is actually not a bad thing to put on our commander if we wanted him to get into melee. And then Thorn Staff. It's again the decent poison. It's also not a bad weapon in general. Rawhide Shield. Protection Shield was 11. Defense 0. Parry 4. It's not bad. Berserk Pelt. This one's actually pretty good. Wolf Pelt will enrage the wearer, increasing his strength and battle prowess, but reducing his defense. It's not bad, actually, and I would probably do it if I were a small... Ring of Tame Lightning, not bad. I would probably go with it if I were playing Marverni, at least for a troop. So let's have him research. What's Urgek doing? He's the man that we bought. Atavi infantry, Atavi archers, and Markatas. I don't know what that is. That's army consists of, let's do this. Let's check this out. And these are heavy cavalries and heavy infantries. Heavy cavalries are not to be underestimated. I'm just gonna put it that way. However, that being said, recruit unit, still 1 resource. Okay. we could actually end this game probably pretty quickly, depending on how strong this one is. But if this one's really weak, then we might not... Oh. Oh. This one has a river. Which means we can only cross through there in winter. So we have to go for either this one, which is Atavi Infantry, Atavi Archers, and Marcatas. I don't know what those are. Let's see. Army setup. So, Slinger goes with the Slinger Squad, and what are these? Foul Spawn. Horrible result of crossbreeding experiments. Few Foul Spawn look alike. They sometimes possess strange abilities such as water breathing or regeneration. These are undisciplined, they protection of 3, magic resistance of 8, defense skill of 9, precision of 9, morale 15. These guys are really hard to route, but they're kind of shit. These guys are undisciplined. Going to put them about there. Since these troops are kind of useless, put him there. Set battle orders. Stay behind troops. Harmony is kind of not needed. There we go. Just double click to select them all. And we now have some spearmen, although I don't know why. Tuatha warriors versus Furbolg warriors. Oh, that's why. I see now. Cast a specific spell, Divine Blessing, and then Servant of Courage. Just repeatedly cast Servant of Courage, and then just cast spells. Okay, and then the question is, what do I want to do? I kind of want to attack these guys, but there's 50 of them. And I know they're going to be bare-chested, but they're going to have archers, and archers are going to be kind of our bane. That being said, we do need to go after them. I could actually bring in this druid, but I would be missing... well, let me select him, look at army setup, set battle orders. I would like to see what you can cast, actually. You can cast Air Shield. Air Shield solidifies the air around the caster to protect him or her from incoming missiles. That's actually not bad. Because I think that lasts for the entirety of the battle. So that's basically just, fuck you, archers! You can't hit me! Which is actually really good on a mage. So I'll increase the morale of nearby friendly units. It has an area of effect of 10, which is not bad. Fatigue cost of, like, jack of shit. It's not bad. Soothing Song. Spellcast. Reinvigorates the caster and nearby friendlies. That is very good. Reinvigoration allows your stamina to, or your fatigue rather, to regenerate. So this can pay for itself really quickly, depending on how much reinvigoration it gives. Then Healing Song. The spell song heals the caster and nearby friendlies, or friends. This song doesn't affect undead or lifeless beings. That kinda sucks. But it's only a heal of 1. That's not exactly the best. Healing Song, Sleep Touch. Alright. So it makes me unnaturally tired. Damage to fatigue, actually. That's not bad. But Song of Bravery, or actually, Soothing Song, cast specific spell, Song of Bravery, and cast specific spell. Air Shield. And I just kind of want you to hang back. Like, this is just, these guys would actually, not actually. Let's have a look at him. Strength of 11, attack skill of 11, defense skill of 16, not bad. Precision of 11, morale of 13, magic resistance of 14. And yeah, it appears that blunt weapons do decent amounts of damage, is their thing. Hit point. This guy's actually not bad. Like, I could make them really good thugs. And what thugs are magical guys that you equip with a lot of magical arms and armor, and they can just annihilate armies all on their own. It's actually kind of funny, because basically they just can't die unless you get really unlucky, and then they just wade into a bunch of dudes and those bunch of dudes don't like it. Don't like the fact that one guy is just bitch slapping every single one of them, and they just run. Because a lot of times, morale in this game is mostly what determines a fight. And actually, I almost forgot. Let's army set up. You're going into the corner. What that does is it allows him to get away much easier. And let's see. How many will I need to fuck around with? And like I said, just hit question mark and you'll tend to get all of the things that you... Oh, I need to set up research. So, let's see. Is there anything in alteration? No, there is not. Well, there's bark skin. Huh. Skeletal body. Hand of death. What does hand of death do? Left hand of the caster becomes deadly. It destroys anything it touches. The power of the hand is strong enough to kill giants. It does 40 plus damage. Damage is increased by 5 for every extra level the caster is. I'm just gonna point this out. Our god is a death mage of 4. So this does what? Damage increased for every extra level this caster is. What is this? Skeletal body, hand of death. 2. That's 50 damage to one of them. That's just, and they're fly. And I think our caster, and I think our god is a flying unit, so we can just fly up, move, fly back down. Hand of death, their commander. That's instant. Your army routes. That's just rude. There's hand of dust. Caster's left hand becomes deadly, able to turn anything it touches to ash. The spell is limited in power, but ignores armor. It's probably the best part of it. Plus, it has really low fatigue cost, so that's kind of nice, actually. Let's see, what else is there? There's weakness. And the reason I'm looking at the death mat, well, I could just do this. D. You can sort things. Stygian skin. Blah, blah, blah. And yeah, this is just one school, but there's a lot of spells for it. Skeletal body, weakness, skeletal. Enfeeble, invulnerability, drain life. Caster drains life force from the target, adding it to his own health and endurance. 14 plus damage is increased by 1 level for every extra level the caster is. That's a lot. That would be at the brink of what our god can actually do himself. Skeletal Legion. Caster transform an entire army into skeletal beings, making them highly resistant to piercing attacks. The transformation can be harmful, and the transformed soldiers might get diseased by the spell. High magic resistance will protect the affected soldiers from disease. The caster is exempt from the effects of the spell. That's not bad, actually. But I think that affects the entire battlefield. Okay. So that's not bad. And then darkness. Battlefield is covered in darkness, strong enough to render torches almost useless. Living beings will stumble and have great difficulty fighting or shooting in the darkness. Undead demons and blind beings are unaffected by this spell. The darkness ends if the caster dies, and I believe our god actually is much better in darkness. That's not disintegrate. Fuck you. It's only 10 fatigue. Now see, this is Finger of Death. This is Finger of Death. That's just rude, though. And utter dark. The world is covered in a blanket of utter darkness. All living beings must use torches to see even a few feet in front of themselves. Undead, demons, and blind beings, I should stop doing that, are unaffected by the darkness. All provinces except caves and deep seas have their income and resources reduced by 90%. During the perpetual night, forces of darkness and roaming shades will attack enemy provinces. That's just, come get me, motherfuckers! This spell. That's just alteration. Let's check out Evocation. Evocation shouldn't do much. Shadow Bolt, the Necromancer hurls a bolt of dark energy against his enemies. The bolt ignores all armor and can paralyze those close to the target. That's not bad, actually. 1 for every extra level the caster is. That's really not bad, but it's a level 3 in Evocation, which is less good. Bolt of Unlife, Shadow Blast, Blast of Unlife, Banefire, Wailing Wind, Stygian Rains, Cloud of Death, Wind of Death. And I think we went to Water Death for our mans. And Conjuration is the one where we're going to have most of our fun. Okay, so this is how you actually get undead units, by the way. is through research, and for that reason you kind of have this brief window with Ermor where they're really bad in the early game because they need to research in order to get to things like Whites and revive Bane. Main arm with a Bane blade. Bane. Someone's Bane commander. Okay, revive Whites. Homage to Shade Beast, Spirit Mastery. What's this do? Spirit Mastery spirits the newly dead and prevents them from entering the underworld. The spirits are ethereal but quite weak. So that means they're hard to kill, but they don't do much damage. Corpse Candle. Corpse Candle is actually pretty good. The one I want... well, Black Servant's pretty good, but we don't actually have a Death Mage for a little bit. Shades is someone to... Is this a... oh, it's not. They're ethereal and able to drain the strength of living beings. Okay, Dark Knowledge. What does this do? This summons a spirit from the underworld and coerces it to reveal knowledge of sites of death in a distant province. The spell can be... okay. So this is a probing spell. Probing spells are things that allow you to find magical sites without actually searching them and moving your troop and moving their unit there. So that one's actually pretty good. There's a probing spell for every type of element, and the Underwater Nations actually get the best probing spell in the game, which is Voice of Tiamat. And let's see. Water? Where is it? Some Catobelpas? Catoblepas. Strange. Voice of Tiamat. Caster conjures up the dreams of Tiamat, the raging sea. She has knowledge of all that lies underneath the sea. The voice of her dreams, when rightly interpreted, reveals all sides of elemental power in a sea. The dreams will find their way to reveal to everyone living in that province, and magical sites will no longer be secret. The spell can only be cast under the water. Yeah, it's pretty good. Thaumaturgy. Let's go back to death. Dust to dust. What does this do? It destroys undead beings by unraveling magic. Okay, so that's anti-undead. Decay. Spell makes the victim age, wither, and die at an incredibly fast rate. What does it do? Victims with good magic resistance. Oh, this is just an instant kill. Okay. Well, it's a chance at an instant kill. And that's just morale damage, I think. There's an AoE version of Frighten, Control the Dead, Legion Darkness. Caster takes control over some undead beings. Powerful undead will be unable to resist the necromancer. So it's an anti-necromantic thing. So in this instance, if they have undead, which I doubt, we'll be able to take over the undead that they have. And then I think we want enchantment. Animate skeleton, animate undead, reanimation. So what these do is, during a battle, you can summon, and may say, lifeless corpse to unholy surface. The resulting soulless will fall apart if left on the battlefield without undead leadership. So these ones kind of ass. Reanimation, decent. It's a ritual. It gives you 10 long dead, but it requires 5 death gems. Not the best. Revive King. Revives a Mound King. This ritual revives a Mound King by the service. The king is intelligent and shares his master's motives. It's not bad. Create Revenant. The necromancer summons a spirit from the underworld and makes it possess a human corpse. The Revenant thus created has some knowledge of death magic. That is the one we want. However, we don't really need it until turn 12-ish. 11 to 13, basically. Did I set it to the right thing? Yeah, I did. And... yeah. Yeah, okay. Okay. So, who do we still need to manipulate? Yep, that's, yeah. Let me check how long. Holy shit. Wow. 2 turns. 43 minutes. Okay. Yeah, we'll end this turn, and then there's battle in Ildmir. I'm actually going to show the battle rather than looking at it immediately, and then we'll look at the battle later on. And yeah, as you can see, these guys are blurred. They have mirror image put on them. I think that increases their defense skill by a fair amount. I can hit space in order to pause. Okay, so these are monkeys. Tavi Archer from Ildmira. They have 10 precision, but they only do 9 damage. 9 piercing damage. It's not bad. If we had Skeletal Body, then we would stick stone. Okay. Buckler, Mace. Oh, their maces actually do some damage. Okay. Divine Blessing. It blesses every troop, every sacred unit on the field. Ugh, that's some damage. Sermon of Courage gives you additional morale. The throwing sticks and stones back. Yeah, these guys do a lot of damage in melee. But these guys also do a lot of damage in ranged. Okay, and our commander is now casting on his own. Okay, we need to kind of take these guys out and then move on to these guys. Just because... yeah. Okay, and let's actually go to 2. Damage was killed. Okay, they're routed. That's fine. Alright guys, how are we looking? We are at morale 12 for the most part. At least he is, anyway. Okay. Blessed, this should tell us what it gives. I still have no idea what Undying does. Morale +1, that's good. Defense skill +2. Makes him harder to hit. Magic resistance +1, it's not bad. Still have no idea what Undying does. Okay, those guys are routed. That means that they'll leave the battlefield. I think both forces routed. Okay. How much did we lose? We did not lose any Tuatha warriors, which is good. We lost all 20 of those foul spawns, and we lost a Firbolg warrior. It's not bad, actually. Did any of our guys get wounded, though? Okay, this guy's actually a Earth Mage, so he has a bit of... so he can actually forge some different things. Sort of sharpness, namely black steel stuff. Massive protection. No defense, no encumbrance. It's good if you really don't want to get hurt. It's only -1 defense, but 17 protection. And, fun fact! You know Ulm? How they have steel arms and armor in the fucking early age? In the middle age, their normal troops come equipped with black steel arms and armor. Just saying. Just saying. Lots of protection. Just, yeah, they're very hard to kill in middle age. They're very hard to kill in any age, really. Okay, so I now have this province. What can we recruit from here? And generally, whenever you fight something, it gives you a good idea of what you can recruit. So Atavi infantry, Atavi archers, Markatas. Markatas are kind of ace, but they did have that sticks and stones, which wasn't bad. Their club does decent damage. So these guys aren't actually all that bad. I mean, they're cheap. They're only 8 gold and 3 resources for these guys, and these guys are even cheaper. 5 gold, 1 resource, and it's a spammable unit. Not exactly. Ooh, Jaguar tribe. That's not good. Mainly barbarians, mainly archers, militias, and heavy infantries. So what I want to do with this guy is attack current province, and I wanted to do a thing where I shift moved in the last area. So recruit units. We have more resources to make use of, so I want to hire one of those because these sacred units are really good. And right now I'm not spending too much on commanders, just simply because I don't need the higher tier commanders. That being said, are they slow to recruit? Because if they are, I may not grab one, but if I can get one of these. These are one resource. So if I got one of these, I could also get another slinger, which isn't bad. So I want to get one of those. Here's a little recruit. Valorn Sid. He. They're actually a little bit cheaper, but they only have air magic. I do think I'm going to need one of them though. At some point, and it would be a good idea to get them before we get construction 2. So for bulk slinger. And you're still on defense. Let's move you on to research. And yeah, this is what I do for the most part, is just I spam casters really early on. And then, let's see, army setup. I am sorry. Is I spam casters and then just sort of Regek the Foul Spawn. I thought he was Regek the Beast Friend or something like that. I don't really need him to do much. I'm just gonna stick him near the front lines. Probably right about there, yeah. He's just, he's not a permanent commander anyway. So I'm just going to put him, actually let's take a look at him. I mean, he has a heroic ability, heroic endurance. Oh, and I forgot to check if our guys were wounded. I said this was the last turn, didn't I? So you can do that by mousing over the column that they're in and pressing W. Affliction, battle wounds, lost an arm, strength -1, cannot use as many items as before. What is he using? Stone spear. He does not need to use. I think he lost his shield. Okay, he lost his shield arm. That sucks for him. Battle wounds, lost an arm. Same as the last guy. Battle wounds, weakened, strength -4. He'll do less damage, but he's still good to fight. Okay, and none of our slingers were wounded. That's good. Just the fact that it was only these cheapo units that were wounded were really good, actually. Heroic ability, Valor. A hero with this ability receives increased morale and leadership. All troops commanded by this hero will be less likely to break in combat. Any commander entering the Hall of Fame gets a heroic ability and will become increasingly better while it remains in the Hall of Fame. Okay. In addition, he gets a special thing as a prophet. Prophet gets increased attack and defense skill in addition to the Dominion-related bonuses of a pretender god. Prophets can never be charmed or enslaved into serving the army. Or serving the enemy, rather. There can only be one prophet at a time. He's also blessed. So yeah. And becoming a prophet instantly increases his priest level to +3, or increases his priest level by +1 if he's already a priest. That means that if you turn a... Let's take these guys for example. If you turn a... not her. I don't have any priests of +3? Well, anyway. If you have a priest of +3, then they become a priest of +4. That's one of the few ways to get them as higher priests. Another way is through a certain type of... It's in thaumaturgy. And can I just... Yeah, I can. Is through the communions, which is a certain type of astral magic. You cast Communion Master. The mage who casts a spell can use the magic power of the mages who have cast Communion Slave. The fatigue that comes from casting spells will be distributed among all the Communion members, and the Communion Master will also be able to cast more powerful spells than he could alone. While in Communion, all spells that only affect the caster will also affect all the Communion Slaves. A Communion with 2 Communion Slaves will grant all Masters 1 extra level on all their paths. 4 slaves will grant 2 levels, 8 slaves will grant 3 levels, and so on. That's really good, if you can't tell. Because what that means is, and I'll probably show it off if I ever play Marverni, because good god, those guys make really good Communion Slaves and Masters. What that means is, if you ever... Okay, these guys are doing stuff. When do I want them to attack? Mainly archers, militia, and heavy infantry. And the thing about this, it goes in order of how many units, of which is the most prevalent unit type. So it's mainly archers. That means they're going to have mostly archers. The second most is going to be militias, and then the last and least amount will be of heavy militia or heavy infantries. And we are actually set up to end this game very quickly. I'm just gonna roll over to these guys and increase our defenses by a little bit. Just get it up to +10. Okay. Anyway, this has been Rabbit. This has been Dominions, and I'm just gonna check real quick to make sure this isn't a hotkey. It is not. Just the begin and end record buttons. Anyway, this has been Rabbit, and this has been Dominions, specifically the Tyrannog. I may play a different race if I start getting bored of the Tyrannog, but I'll probably still be playing Dominions for a long time to come. Or not. I don't know. Anyway, this has been a good time. I hope to see you guys for the next one. Goodbye, everybody.